Welcome to the Manual Channel. I'm your host, Dan Gall. Our guest today is Jay Escobara, Global Vice President of Design at Champion. But before we get started, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. And with that, let's go. Jay, thanks for joining us today. How are things going?
Everything is good. As they say, every day above ground is a good day. So I'm very thankful for that. But even better, it's the start of Fashion Week here in New York. So there's lots of activities going around, lots of festivities going around. And some of those festivities are the reason why my voice is a little rattly today. So that's usually the start of something good, I feel like.
Oh, for sure. That means you're having a ton of good conversations and probably a few late nights, right?
Tons of late nights, but no one ever complains about late nights here in New York unless you're on the Upper East Side. So other than that, late nights are our default in this town.
For sure. Everybody, I always say New York is the true city that never sleeps.
Oh yeah, that in Tokyo. Yeah. That's a real city like at maybe like 2, 3 a.m. You're like, why is there a convenience store and about still 250 people out? That's it's a rare thing, but you never get as much dynamic diversity that you get here in this melting pot called New York City, which is, I always think it's the gift and the curse. If you are not used to crowded trains, crowded streets, crowded concerts, crowded everything, this may not be the place for you. If if you don't mind those things and you're okay with being not okay, I think it's good because then you fit right in with everyone else.
Man, I love the energy of New York. Every time I come in, and you literally cross the river and you're just like, okay, I feel the energy. It's one of my favorite things about going into New York. It's just getting through the tunnel and popping out and being like, yep, here we are. Uh,
Yeah, absolutely.
I love Tokyo too. That's actually my favorite city right now. And if I could move there, I would be there in a heartbeat. But
Would
enough
you?
about me,
Yeah,
Jay. I
talk to
want
me.
to talk about you.
Yeah, let's do it.
Your career journey, I think, is probably really inspiring to a bunch of people. And so I want to hop in with that real quick. How did you get to where you are today at Champion?
Oh man. Well, long story short, I think talent is one part. The second part is luck. The third part is perseverance and diligence. I think this is just something that's been a part of my life for forever, just since being a kid and skateboarding and just saying, "Oh man, these clothes suck," and just wanting to like have the best quality and not pay a whole lot because skaters don't like paying for things. I almost
You
swore
can
at it.
cuss. It's all good.
Perfect. Yeah, skaters don't like paying for shit. So it's
Yeah.
just that's the reality. We don't like spending money really if we don't have to, but it was one of those things where I was like, well, it would be great to get into fashion and my idea around fashion was just quality, and I fell in love with some great American brands from a young age, whether it were like Polo, Ralph Lauren, or Nautica. Like I felt like American designers, especially in New York, were doing really cool creative stuff. Donna Karan was doing cool European-esque American luxury that like only Giorgio Armani had done. And I think that just made me just want this even more. And the fact that there weren't like real kids like me or like folks that just were a little not polished, right? I was not a polished person. And still to this day, I'm not. I'm quite candid. And, I don't live by being on script. A lot of things are built through an intuitive process and through an intuitive mindset. And when I think about what Champion, all of where I'm at with Champion, it kind of opened the door for that process to thrive. So like it was cool like a couple years ago reaching out and having a conversation with the president, Vanessa, and just her asking me real questions like what would you do with this? and like what's your goal, and like how do you see your goals working at Champion, if at all, right? And just seeing how they naturally were connected. And when you have a brand like Champion that's heritage, and not just heritage by just being in Rochester, New York, made in the USA for decades, and supplying over 1,800 colleges, institutions with gear on campus, off campus, fan gear, etc. It's also because it's a heritage, because everyone's had a piece of it since they were probably like yay high, right? So when I think about skateboarding, I wore Champion hoodies because they didn't break when I fell. Like I can rough it around, I can wipe blood off on it, and it was fine. Like it was it was like the perfect garment to have up top, because one, I couldn't afford a leather jacket, so I needed something that was tough. And
Yeah.
those reverse weave sweatshirts will get you through it. That with like a underlayer of a t-shirt, you're golden.
Yeah.
So I think there was this, it was a very timely approach towards myself and Champion, and just wanting to like connect what it is to be a real creative and a creator, and actually depicting that not as something that's scripted or polished, not something that feels corporate, but something that feels real and organic, and the A word, authentic. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
like something that is quite profound. And we were able to get down. And it's been 2 years of getting down and cranking out some hits and making this brand cool, and establishing a new cool about it too as well.
For sure, like it's definitely how you've gotten it elevated up, man. Like so congratulations on that. And when you think about like I was flapping my arms and cheering because you said you come from skateboarding. So do I. And it just
Yeah.
reminds me back in the day, it's like, I just wearing holy shoes, pants with holes in them, you're bleeding everywhere. And you're right. All our money went to like if I could get a new deck, right?
That's
Or
right.
something like, yeah. I
Yeah.
love it, man. Congrats on the success. I think about, we were talking about New York and Tokyo. Like when I travel abroad, Tokyo or France or whatever, and you go to a store like a Champion store over there, like part of the fun of it is the hunt of like, do you have Tokyo exclusive, right? And I feel like, Champion is definitely bringing that front, not just to like a city exclusive, but just being exclusive in itself. Like these, and this to me is a perfect segue into the no permission campaign. So like if we could dive into the no permission campaign, and that's well, it's the second installment, right? Of a larger campaign of champion what moves you in that initiative. Can you tell me more about like what that is and the inspiration behind it and what it represents for a champion and yourself?
Well, I mean, with Champion What Moves You, we wanted to like highlight the next chapter of what creatives will look like, right? And we understand that with Champion, we're at the core of like streetwear and lifestyle evolution, right? We have that relentless spirit about our presence of what we do. And it all starts from being a canvas, right? So us being that canvas for creative expression allows young creatives, designers, musicians to use Champion garments as a way to decorate, embellish their personal vibe or personal taste or commercial taste. And out of that, I think about a year ago, we launched with our What Moves You campaign, where we highlighted different creatives that we admire, that we see. And it's bringing it back to the people. It's not like, oh, let's grab this model real quick and let's shoot them. That's cool too. That's a part of it. But when we're thinking about the genesis of Champion, we're for campus, we're for lifestyle. And to be that, there is a way you personalize these things, right? Like it's a blank canvas. So many people will mark their sweatshirts, many people will mend their sweatshirts. Like when I look at the Champion archive, we've got over 3,500 pieces in our archive dating back to like the 30s. And when you see those pieces, they're decorated, they're mended, and that sort of personalization has happened way before Champion What Moves You, and Champion What Moves You is a way that we highlight that, right? And we start to put faces to the process of what it is to be a creator. And when you have something like that, it's explosive, right? Because then everyone's like, oh man, Champion's doing this thing. I want them to see how good I am, right? And so there becomes more of a vibe and an influx of creativity heading towards Champion, which is great. The other part to it is a no permission slide, and that's like a year later, us looking and telling the story not just from the creative angle, but from the genesis point of Champion. Like when you think about how that's happened, where other creators have used Champion as their garment of choice to express themselves, from Stussy to Nike to Bathing Ape. Nigo is a huge supporter of Champion, even up to Jun Takahashi, who we now do a partnership with through Undercover. I mean, earlier things with him and Nigo, they were using Champion pieces and sweatshirts when they were making their earlier pieces. And so that goes back to show you, like, we've been there, for a big mega company like Nike to say, you know what, we've got this thing that we're going to do in Oregon called America's West, and it's going to be about runners. And this is in the 70s and 80s. And they said, well, if I'm going to use any kind of sweatshirt to print this on for our own products, it's going to be Champion. And that speaks volumes. Everyone from Abercrombie and Fitch used Champion, LL Bean, Champion. Like, the list goes down from corporate to creator, where we've been like that vehicle of choice for expression. And with no permission, you kind of see it, whether we're talking Kith, whether we're talking Virgil Abloh, who has been a huge creative influence to millennial, Gen Z, and Alpha generation. And for him to start Off-White and Pyrex with Champion also speaks volumes.
Yeah.
And this goes back to, like, people never forget quality. People never forget those things that stood the test of time. This is why when I go and look for a toolkit, I'm like, oh, I want Craftsman tools, or like I want, a certain type of I'm going to get a Toro lawnmower. Why Toro? Well, it's quality. It stands the test of time. And being in New York, I don't mow lawns, but it's something that I know,
Yeah.
it. It's reason why people call Kleenex, every tissue a Kleenex, because why? It's the quality.
Yeah.
It's the heritage. And when you think of sweatshirts or hoodies, like the original sideline garment that Champion invented in the mid 1920s, well, that sideline garment has become also the genesis point for street culture, for music culture. When you go to a rave, what do you have? You have a hoodie on. And what do you might wear the black one, but you also might wear the, shock green, and you might decorate it, you might spray paint it, you might paint it, you might stud it, you might do other embellishment treatments to it. And so that no permission vehicle allowed us to say, hey, we don't need the permission to think like creative. We don't need the permission to be fashion. We don't need the permission to be sport. We're all of those things quite naturally. And then when you see the creators that came through and actually showed some of their pieces, like, I think one of the guys that had did a sweatshirt said, like, I am not a creative director on the back. I am not a graphic designer. I love that, because this person is looking at themselves as, I'm just a creative, right? Like, he's making a statement, but he's making that statement on a Champion reverse weave hoodie. And so there's so many examples that I can riff from why that no permission sequence is so important in what we're doing, right? This is like the push forward when you have, like, your Champion What Moves You. No permission is the establishment of why it matters to be Champion. Everyone was asking Vanessa and myself, like, why champion, why champion, the first year, why champion, why champion. Well, now you know why, right? So like,
Yeah.
you know why. So cool. Now that you understand why, we can now get to work and start bringing the influence in and creating the community of culture, right? With the creators that we work with, that we partner with, that we support. And that starts to drive better influence, right? That means and cements Champion is not just a brand, but a culture that's here to stay.
Yeah, and that's a huge part of it, like you just mentioned, supporting the creative community. It's almost kind of like giving back in a way, right? Like you're giving them an outlet that they may have access to already through their own brand, but now they have an opportunity to be part of something even bigger or just something that is positive, right? A positive influence.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, look, everything is giving back, especially for me. I look at my journey a lot and I think that it would not have happened without other
Mm.
people who've spared time, even if it was 5 minutes, some who gave quick advice, some who gave, who did nothing at all. And that space allowed me to exist, and I think when you acknowledge that very few people get to a place where they could be recognized for their talent and their skills and their abilities. I feel this way. I then feel that, yes, I should open doors. I should be available. I take calls from a lot of different creatives, like some just want to tell me their ideas and some just want to like just say, hey man, like how could I get in? How could I get down? And you know what? I listen. I'm an ear. That's the least I could do is listen and say, hey, yeah, you know what? Well, I think you should keep knocking on this door. But while you're knocking on this door, you need to prepare for this. I can give advice to help and facilitate. And sometimes I can open that door because this person's ready to go through it, right? And really show something and show their craft and their skill. And then that becomes an enlightening point,
Yeah.
not just for me, but for everyone in that audience to kind of see and witness what this person is doing. And that's the power of creativity. It's not just, I made this and so therefore it exists. It's like I made this and it can be used by those who do exist. It's just a different philosophy. Like, right? Like some people say fashion is not the need business, it's the want business. But I disagree because we need clothes. Like, humans need clothes. We are not golden retrievers that look nice and pretty naked with fluffy hair. That's not us. Like we need
Yeah.
clothes. So like because we do, we are in a need business. And out of that need, you can create desire. And what makes clothing desirable other than function? Well, fit, color, shape, print, all of those things. And so that's why creativity is needed because it creates desire for things that are needed.
Mm.
So this is something to me that's a very powerful tool that when it's exercised, yeah, you just want to support it. When you see people that have a bright idea, don't get in their way. Like leave them the space so that they can go through if you're not going to help them go through. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just that way of ushering in new talent, new minds, new thinking that will hopefully create desirability and hopefully participate in the wealth of and abundance that enrich our lives.
That's beautiful, man. A lot of wisdom there to unpack, and it just comes back to for me again, like what you're saying is really support and community. It's found in you're talking about creative community, and that's across multiple spectrums. You go back to skateboarding, very creative, a singular sport in a sense, but the support you have around the people that are skating with you is
Yeah.
tremendous, right? You pull a trick that you've been struggling with, you get supported. You support other people trying and the failure and all that other stuff that comes with it. So, I love this aspect of it. And just to switch gears real quick, because I know we
Yeah.
got like short amount of time. I want to cover also the weighted hoodie. Like you guys have a
Yes.
weighted hoodie coming out, and if we talk about the mind right? Like, everybody knows weighted blankets, weighted, like it helps with mental health and things like that. So like, can you tell us a little bit about like the motivation around that product and what that process has been like?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, Champions has a history of innovation, right? Whether it's the sideline garment, aka the hoodie, or us creating the first sports bra ever,
Mm.
right? Or the invention of mesh fabric. I mean, Champion has such a profound history and innovation, and also championing newness. We made products and sport apparel for women's and a time when people did not frankly give a damn about that. And I think we see things. Again, there's some magic about this company because it approaches things from a human experience level, which is what the weighted hoodie does. So in partnership with Thera and a team of mental health researchers, we were able to craft this weighted hoodie, right? To develop this sideline garment using like micro glass beads and then like the way we did the quilting and stitch pattern. And I will not take credit for the design of this product. The one of the designers that works on my team, Stephanie Martel, a beautiful mind, really. Like she was able to like think about the stitch pattern so that this would be the way to sustain the beads in each stitch pattern. Not easy to do, using the reverse side of the fabric so that it's not abrasive and it helps ease in any sensory experiences, right? You have the long draw cords, which are a thing of focus. And, this touches home for quite a bit of us here at Champion, right? Obviously, when you have a society like, especially in New York, where it's quite anxious, and folks that have anxiety disorders are tremendous, and I'm one of them. I also have a nephew that's on the spectrum, which is really, it's been challenging for my brother, but it's been successful having someone and learning about how sensory and behavioral therapies do work, right? A lot of things we as humans, we suppress a lot of things and it's kind of truncated. But when you have support, and whether it's family support, and you also have support from community and support from object too, that you can wear, that helps you feel safe, that helps you feel comfortable while you work through things. I think this is something that it's next level. This is a more thoughtful innovation. This innovation touches to the human experience, to the mental experience, right? To the character of person. And I think this is something that's so powerful. And I'm happy that we dedicated our time. This isn't just a product to make. This is us saying, hey, we're dedicating this for our people, for the human people, and for ourselves. And we're thinking about ourselves in this human experience. And we wanted to do something that was really, really functional in that aspect and make something that matters. And I think when I see this product and I see it come from design sketch to how we thought about the stitching patterns to the actual materials that we use and working through with Thera and their team and absorbing knowledge from them, because just because you deal with designers doesn't mean we know all the problems to solve. And when you have support and you have a group like Thera and their folks and they're coming together with us, that's the healthy combination. There's a Arthur Russell song called Wild Combination. Well, that's the perfect wild combination right there. And it makes magic, by doing that. There's a lot of other, dope features to this weighted hoodie too. Like I love that, the hood is like kind of rounded. It's not pointed and it's roomy, right? So that you feel nestled into it. And it also has a lot of room built on the inside of the garment so that you also feel good with your own clothing that you wear underneath, right? So you have that layer of protection, you have that layer of sensory, you also have that layer of normalcy by knowing that you can wear what you have on under it. So you don't have to feel like, oh, I have this on in terms of or expression of difference, right? Because you have to think about how that can also create a whole other level and layer of complexity. So having that, the stowaway pockets, like just all of these really cool aspects of the garment are what makes this a truly amazing article of champion history.
And it's meant to be worn like not just at home, right? I'm assuming.
Oh man, no, not
Yeah,
at all. I
yeah,
would wear it while gaming. If I could wear it fly fishing, I would too. And just so
yeah.
it helps me with my game. I might actually, get really diesel forearms by doing, but
That's right. I know we're running out of time, so I just want to ask one final question before we wrap up, and that is there anything else on your horizon, on Champions Horizon, that you want to let the audience know about that to be on the lookout for?
Wow, there's so many things, but Champion's doing some great stuff. We just dropped our Danielle Guizio collaboration and partnership last week. It's been very successful. She's one of the brightest stars in New York City far as women's design. I'm so happy for her and proud of her work. Then we've got Angelo Bache coming up in October, which is good. October is so wild to say that because it just feels like the years just blown by. But Angelo is also a friend and a brother of mine. We grew up in this city and we worked tirelessly and relentlessly on crafting dreams together. And I'm so happy that we get a chance to see his dreams come to life. And so, like I said, whenever you can make other creative visions manifest, that's the real joy that we get at Champion. So very proud of the work that we're doing. It's Fashion Week and there's always some cool stuff that we're getting into, especially during the week. We've got some festivities cooking up here in the city, but I'm just very proud of the team, the creative team, the marketing team at Champion. We're doing a great job. We're speaking to the people and we're extracting the stories that the people want to hear. They want to see a reflection of themselves, and we're able to give that back to them in a very creative way. So, I can never speak so highly of my team enough because I just know what it's like to be young and creative and just challenging the world with ideas. And
Yeah.
it's such a good thing to see that come to life.
I love it, Jay. Thank you so much for taking the time out and sharing your wisdom, uh, your journey with Champion and these new projects and the weighted hoodie, man. It's absolutely inspiring and fantastic to learn about. Good luck at Fashion Week. I hope your voice
Yes.
stays like crystal clear, like it is right now. It sounds great. And to everyone watching, don't forget to check out our YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok, and look for more videos. Jay, have an absolutely wonderful evening and rest of your week.
No, thank you so much. And cool sweatshirt too, man.
I
Don't
had
think
to
I
represent.
did. That's
Yeah.
right. Awesome.
All right. Take care. We're
Yes.
out.